All right, it looks like we are on the hour. Hello and welcome. My name is Todd Desso, and I am the Strategic Business Manager for Moxa Americas. I'm joined today by my friend and colleague, Oliver Wang. Oliver is the Product Marketing Manager for our Intelligent Devices and Intelligent Solutions division. We are also fortunate to have Simon Chen with us. Simon is our Global Sales Product Manager for our Intelligent Devices division. Simon is actually joining us live from our global engineering headquarters in Taiwan. So Simon, is this an early morning wake up or a late night for you?
Well, it's a late night for me.
Great. Well, we certainly appreciate you staying up. So we wanted to talk today about the exciting yet ever challenging topic of how to bring older equipment into the modern world. This webinar will be roughly 20 to 25 minutes. It will be a high-level discussion on the trends and challenges we all face, bringing older equipment into the modern world. We'll also overview a few solutions and how we can collaborate with you to address your specific needs. We will then conclude today's webinar with a Q&A session. If you have any questions during the presentation, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat and we will address them all at the end. With that said, let's get started. With so many webinars, podcasts, and YouTube do-it-yourself videos, let's do a quick recap of what may have triggered you to sign up for this webinar and take a look at the trends we see in the marketplace. To start, many of you on the call today have older operational equipment that simply cannot be replaced. This may be a result of cost and budget constraints, the scope of the project, or there's just no viable solution. On top of that, with the continuous push we are all seeing for greater efficiencies, performance, or remote accessibility, the need to connect to, say, an Ethernet-based PLC or a cloud platform is ever present. And where are we seeing this need to connect? We can be talking CNC equipment, pumping stations, to medical devices and barcode scanners. The applications are really quite diverse. As I noted, there are challenges when bringing older equipment into the modern world. However, rest assured, Moxa has been bridging the gap between older and modern systems since the late 80s and 90s. We look forward to helping you navigate this effort. Now, before we address the specific challenges and solutions, let's take a moment to gain an understanding of the equipment you are maintaining via our first of 3 poll questions. So the first question, what types of older equipment are you working with? Older model PLCs and drives, older RTUs, IEDs, and switchgear, large pieces of fixed equipment and machinery, or other simple devices, say a barcode scanner? Let's take a few seconds before we close the poll. And our results. Overwhelming there, 69% older model PLCs and drives. It's always interesting to see the equipment our customers are maintaining. So Oliver, as we mentioned, the need for greater efficiencies, performance, or remote accessibility are really driving this need for equipment to be connected. Let's talk about the key challenges customers are facing.
Sure thing, Todd. Let's jump right in. We see the same 3 challenges over and over again with users of older equipment, whether you're working with those older model PLCs or larger pieces of fixed machinery. First, dealing with communication limitations. How do you connect to a modern Ethernet platform? Second, dealing with cybersecurity concerns and requirements. Not so long ago, this used to be an afterthought, but with SolarWinds, ransomware, and other incidents, it's now a critical topic for our industry. Third, how to address long-term operation. We have seen users get badly burned when they have not taken this into account, and it's difficult to restore a connection to their equipment. I'll go over some ways to address each of these challenges, starting with communication limitations. So say you have some pre-Ethernet era equipment. One thing to look for is a serial port for communication or programming. If you've got an RS-232 or RS-485 port, you are in business. A simple serial to Ethernet converter will allow you to communicate directly to and from that serial port over Ethernet. This is perfect for machines and devices that were designed to connect directly to a PC, like older CNC machines, medical equipment, barcode scanners, and printers. You can set up virtual COM ports on your PC so your original software doesn't have to change. It simply sees new COM ports like they were physically connected to the PC itself. Now, what if you don't have a serial port? Or maybe you want to get additional data like cycle start and stop times. Here's another handy technique. Convert digital and analog input readings directly into Ethernet-ready data using an Ethernet I/O module. This converts live voltage readings from attached sensors directly into data that can be pulled on the network via Modbus, Ethernet IP, SNMP, and other well-established methods. This is nice because it doesn't affect existing machine operation and doesn't require any PLC programming. Since bidirectional communication is supported, you can get creative. You can trigger a stack length based on machine status. Another common limitation is protocol support. A lot of equipment like variable speed drives, switchgear, and power monitoring equipment are still in service, running a classic older protocol like Modbus RTU. We see that a lot. When you are trying to integrate with a modern new controller or platform, you often need a way to translate between two different protocols, and a dedicated protocol gateway or converter is an easy way to efficiently and securely translate between common industrial protocols like Modbus, Ethernet IP, DNP3, BACnet, and others. Now, you might not find a dedicated protocol gateway for your desired conversion. In this scenario, we see a lot of users turn to compact edge computers running third-party software like Ignition Edge, Aviva, and AutoSolve, to name a few. This hardware plus software combination is powerful because it supports hundreds of protocols and provides additional data logging and IoT functionality on the same device. We also see users go full DIY and write their own protocol handler to run on a small industrial Linux box, basically building their own protocol gateway. So Todd, that's a quick rundown on the first challenge, communication limitations. Hopefully a great starting point for our viewers to decide which approach works for them.
Thanks, Oliver. That was a good recap. And communication challenges certainly can be frustrating. You know, one other piece of feedback that we hear routinely is the user interfaces that we have are very easy and intuitive. So that kind of helps get through some of that. So moving to our second poll question, let's focus on the next challenge, cybersecurity. That question being, how are cybersecurity concerns impacting equipment deployment, maintenance, and upgrade efforts? Customers are dictating cybersecurity requirements and are struggling to meet them. Corporate IT is mandating cybersecurity standards, equipment qualifications. Our ROT group has decided on our own to implement measures to protect our operations. And last, we have no direct impact, but we want to understand the lay of the land. So let's give that a few seconds as we collect the results. Corporate IT is mandating cybersecurity standards at 47%. The rest's pretty much in the 20s. Yeah, you know, that's really good insight and very much in line with what we hear within our application engineering and project engineering discussions. You know, in looking back on several polls that we have conducted over the last 12 to 18 months, we see quite the range. On one hand, we are seeing a growing number of customers asking about or even following the IEC 62443 standards, here plus 30%. While on the other hand, we're still seeing a number of customers unaware of their cybersecurity policies, and really struggling to manage their network devices.
Very true, Todd. And I hope we make a small dent in these numbers today. This voice of customer is informing our product development efforts and our approach to cybersecurity as a company. When we talk about this second challenge, cybersecurity concerns, a holistic view is necessary. You need to consider multiple aspects. Let's first talk about the point of connection to your equipment. The most absolute basic security measure you can take here is to lock down access to network configuration. A simple example, require a user password before changing network settings. Think of your Wi-Fi router at home and how you set up your SSID. You don't want your guests or random strangers on the internet to freely log into your Wi-Fi router and change those settings. Same concept here. Setting a password to protect configuration access should be a no-brainer. And truth be told, this measure alone is not considered secure in today's world. Over the years, additional measures have been introduced to improve the level of security at this point of connection. You now have options to encrypt the network configuration screens, use secure authentication servers, and scan your network to flag connected devices that are not securely locked down. And we're working on newer measures like hardware root of trust to deliver even higher levels of protection. So that covers some basic cybersecurity measures for this bottom layer where your equipment will be physically connected to Ethernet devices. I want to spend a few more minutes on the bigger picture because there are other threats to consider once your equipment is on the network. At this scale, it's helpful to differentiate between vertical and horizontal security. You want a level of control over how traffic travels between specific network segments and devices. We call this vertical security. And you use devices like Ethernet routers and managed switches as gatekeepers for different segments on the network. Very simply, these devices filter and direct traffic using networking criteria such as IP address whitelists, port locking, NATing, and other methods. Horizontal security involves monitoring the traffic within a segment, analyzing the actual data and maybe traffic patterns, and using that to determine if there's been a breach. Is the code for a known exploit found within the traffic? Are unauthorized machine control commands being sent? For this, you will use security appliances like intrusion protection and detection systems. We're also seeing cybersecurity become an issue at the supplier level, outside the network itself. Cybersecurity audits for suppliers is a real thing. I bet some of you are already being asked to demonstrate that you are meeting certain cybersecurity requirements like we saw from the poll, especially those of you in the power industry. We actually had a customer recently share a 150-page security compliance document that was required from all suppliers. So it is becoming critical to work with a supplier that has robust security measures as an organization and the tools and support to help you demonstrate compliance. So Todd, that's probably as much detail as I can cover in this short format. I hope it was a useful introduction to our viewers into some practical steps and things to consider.
Thanks, Oliver. Cybersecurity truly is dynamic and, frankly speaking, a bit of a moving target. We actually will be doing a whole series of cybersecurity trainings detailing the various aspects highlighted on this slide. So let's move on to our last challenge, long-term operation. Oliver, this is definitely the sleeper in the group and the one that really can have a significant impact on operations, customer deliveries, and support, to name a few.
You nailed it. This last challenge really sneaks up on users, and when it hits hard. A lot of companies first come to us in a panic because their original networking device is suddenly unavailable and there is no easy replacement or fix. Now, our experience has shown us that long-term operation is best addressed in three key areas with Reliable hardware, your device won't need frequent replacing. With easy maintenance, devices are easier to get and keep online, even as you deal with staff rotation and org changes. And with product lifecycle management, you reduce the frequency and impact of discontinued models or components. Simon Chen, thank you, is coming to us direct from our engineering headquarters in Taiwan to share some details here. Simon, thanks for staying up with us. What have we learned about maximizing hardware reliability?
Thank you, Oliver. 30 years of experience has shown us that you must start from a core design philosophy with reliability as its focus. And good thermal management is critical for this. We focus on fanless thermal design, carefully choose number and placement of sockets, and run heat mapping analysis and temperature chamber tests on every product. We also conduct 100% burn-in testing on every unit before shipping, something very few suppliers are willing to do. This is why we are able to certify our hardware to pass through some of the toughest international quality standards in the world. I have a nice story from one of our oil and gas customers that made me pretty proud of our efforts. The engineer was maintaining some components of the system, and he was surprised to see a Moxa device already in there, still operating after 10 years. He even forgot it was there.
The thing about hardware reliability that is so true is that one way or another, you see the impact over time. So that's great. Thank you, Simon. What about ease of maintenance?
Well, we learned that we can best address ease of maintenance for initial device installation and the ongoing operation and maintenance process. Our data shows that good user experience saves a lot of time and effort. On the installation side, we develop an easy web interface and wizard for quick installation, along with the tools for mass deployment, configuration, and firmware upgrade. On the troubleshooting side, we incorporate building diagnostics and troubleshooting tools in many of our devices. For our mobile gateways, we spent 2 full years of R&D effort to reduce configuration to a simple 3-step process. One more thing, we found that competent local tech supports also supports ease of maintenance. We invest heavily in local training and test labs to stimulate different operating conditions. I should compliment the US team here. The customer feedback is very good.
Yes, I do get a lot of positive feedback about our user interface and our awesome tech support team. Let's talk about product lifecycle management. Can you share some lessons learned?
Sure. Some of you may be surprised to hear that we are still selling multiple serial boards after 30 years. And we're still selling the first generation Import Express DE211 model after 20 years in the market. It is crazy, isn't it? With 30 years of experience, we have a well-developed and systematic process to mitigate against component end-of-life issues. In the product design stage, we look for the second sources for all components and conduct annual supplier assessments. When end-of-life is truly unavoidable, we stock up ahead of time and provide a 6-month notice to our customers. Another side to this is maintaining driver support for older OS, such as WinCE, and adding driver support for newer OS, such as Mac OS, ARM Linux. We actively maintain around 100 drivers, making us an industry leader in driver support for various operating systems. This is very highly valued by our lots of users.
This is great stuff, Simon. You know, even the biggest companies routinely discontinue support for their products. And from what I've seen, we're doing a pretty darn good job supporting long-term operation. Simon, really appreciate your time today. We're almost done. So we went over the 3 key challenges of bringing older equipment into the modern world. To recap, we went through common communication limitations and how to overcome them, taking a holistic view of cybersecurity from point of connection all the way to working with secure suppliers, and addressing long-term operation through hardware reliability, ease of maintenance, and product lifecycle. That's a lot for 20 minutes, and I really hope everyone got something out of it. That's it for me, Todd. Back to you.
Simon, thank you again for staying up late, and Oliver, thanks for the recap. It's certainly important to have visibility on these challenges and really understand that Moxa is here to help. So let's go to our final of the 3 poll questions. And this is going to be a bit familiar. Which of these is your biggest challenge when it comes to bringing older machines into the modern world? Communication limitations, cybersecurity considerations, or long-term operations? We'll give it a few seconds before we close the poll. Communication limitations. Okay, excellent. That's good. Good to see. Again, as we stated, whether it's communication limitations, cybersecurity considerations, or long-term operations, our team is here to help. With that, let's go to the Q&A and see what questions we can answer for you. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Hopefully there's some good softball questions here for you. All right. Okay. First question, why do I need a protocol converter if I'm already using a serial to Ethernet converter? That's a good question.
I'll take that. The serial to Ethernet converter, it's a transparent tunnel that just pushes the data across from your serial port to your computer. With a protocol converter, you're going to address some of the protocol specific naming, timing, device ID, mapping, and that's required when you're talking between one protocol or another. Great question. We actually encounter that a lot with the users we work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good. The questions are coming in. Like to see it. All right. Are Moxa devices NERC SIP certified?
I'll take that one. The NERSIP are actually a set of regulatory standards that address the security and safety of the cyber systems. At this moment, getting more and more customers, their company are actually evaluate if all the devices are compliant with the standards or not by filling out the various questionnaire, because there's no standard format to comply with at this moment. And I believe a large number of Moxa devices are NERSIP compliant, as we have been successfully passed through the requirements from our customers, and then we get along these questionnaire with our customers in the past few months. So I believe the majority of Moxa devices have been NERSIP compliance.
Very good. I'm seeing a few questions come in about our support for various protocols. I'm going to read, try to capture them in one question. First, does Moxa support Modbus to EtherCAT? I've got one more. Sorry here, I'm trying to find it. Does Moxa support? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we also offer developing drivers for protocol translation? So let's handle the Modbus to EtherCAT first, if we could.
Okay, I'll take that one too. We do have a few inquiries from our customers looking for the solution to convert the older Modbus devices to EtherCAT network, such as semiconductor industry. We actually have invested some of our resources making the prototype available at this moment. But it's not a standardized product at this moment. So if you do have demands and then you are urged to see how it goes and then to put into your solutions for assessment, please feel free to contact our sales representative. for the question that Todd
Yeah,
just mentioned,
I can read
there's
that
a
one
lot of.
second. It's, do you offer the service of developing drivers for protocol translation?
Uh, for driver at this moment, we mainly focus on the product itself. So we do have a metric table shows that what are the protocols that we supported, and then it's very easy to find out from protocol A to protocol B that you can use the metrics directly, and then you can see which model it is and what are the conversion that from the gateway that Moxa supports to offer. So we can share that tables to you later.
Yeah, that's actually great. Oliver, I don't know if you have access to that table. Maybe you could put that table, that description in the chat, because there's one Oliver and Simon on CAN and OPCDA.
Yeah. Let me grab that and drop it into the chat.
Okay. Wow, the questions are great here. I have another one here. Should I be looking for an industrial security appliance to protect my equipment at the point of connection, or some kind of combo device?
Let me go ahead and take that. I was typing something into the chat, but okay. So what I heard was, should I use a security appliance to protect it? So the answer, easy answer is it really depends. You're going to have to assess what your network requirements are, what is the equipment, what is your network topology, and you have to consider the cost as well. So there are security appliances for different aspects and different types of network segments. So short answer, yeah, I know people hate this, but it really does depend.
Yeah, I would also like to add up some inputs. As the slides Oliver just showed that since there's a horizontal, vertical, this kind of diagrams, and then showing every devices should be considered whether it's secure or not. So most of the connectivity devices that Moxa supports right now, we also care about that. We want to ensure our product itself that once you install on your in your systems, it's already being secure for that devices. So we call it hardened devices. This is a goal that Moxa is trying to deliver to our customers, because that we want to start from our device itself at that point to be secure enough.
I love it. The questions keep coming in. We're going to go 3 more minutes here, so I'll try to speed read. Does Moxa offer IIoT gateways that connect directly to the cloud?
I can take that. Yeah, that is actually kind of one of the most common use cases we see for one of those communication limitations we talk about, an edge computer running third-party software. So third-party software, a lot of the up-and-coming third-party software are designed to turn these edge computers into basically IoT gateways. And we have light industrial Linux computers and x86 boxes with LTE built in, so you can have that direct connection without adding additional Ethernet infrastructure if that's what you want, or you can do it directly over Ethernet. So definitely a hugely growing demand that we see in the market.
That's great. All right, I'm gonna try to get a couple more in here. Can you elaborate on the capabilities of Ethernet I/O? And the second part of that question is, can you compare it to a PLC?
Yeah, I can take that, and Simon, you can jump in if you want.
Mm-hmm.
The I/O is a simple device. A PLC is going to be much more powerful. A PLC is designed for control, and on off and really deep logic. The Ethernet I/O module is really designed for monitoring, and so what it does is just convert those easily use data. So that you don't have to use a PLC and go through all that programming. And so it's nice if you can't get into the PLC, or if you don't want to install another PLC and do all the setup and set up all the tags and things like that. So different kind of use cases, but a PLC could certainly do that. It's just not usually the easiest option.
I have another one here. Are Moxa IE 61850 gateways KEMA certified?
I'll try that one. KEMA certifications, we need to really check on that part, but The IEC 61850 gateways is actually on the way, and we are actually right now producing that one, and for next year we're going to launch this protocol gateway. But for the certifications, we definitely will need to check on that, and then to let all of you know.
So does Moxa have a product that supports IE 61850 protocol? Simon, you said that is on the way.
Yeah, that would be the Modbus to IEC 61850, and then DMP3, and then 101, 104. There's a multiple options that you can convert to IEC 61850.
Okay. And again, for the questions, because I see SPI, I see MQTT to Modbus converter. We see a number of names here. Some of you are listed as anonymous, but what we will do is we'll reach out if we did not get to your questions, and we'll respond directly to that. Please take a look at the chat. The matrix that we have here does a nice job of lining up the certifications and identifying a part number. So please grab a hold of that link and open that up. We're at the 2:31. I'm sorry we went a little over. These were great questions. I really appreciate everybody engaging like you did. So in closing, thank you for joining. We really hope that we were able to relate to aspects you may face when modernizing your equipment. Please don't hesitate to reach out to the Moxa team. We're happy to help you with these efforts. That said, please stay well. Stay tuned for additional webinars on industrial networking, cybersecurity, and industrial computing from Moxa. Thanks, everybody. Take care.